Hi, very nice to meet you, Spencer. Really appreciate you coming in to address our community here in F.A.C.E. And what a lot of ground you've covered in your trading career and globetrotting. Why don't we start off with talking about how you got into the business and what inspired you, who led you into this industry, and you know, it's a long and winding road from the beginning of a trading career. How did yours start?
All right. Actually, I believe it's in the morning at where you are, because like over here it's actually like I'm probably about going to sleep right after this webinar.
Okay.
It's like at the end of the day because I'm
You're
based
in Singapore? I'm guessing you're in Singapore.
So it's like 10 p.m. here.
Okay.
So,
Good evening.
And yeah, so I started off back then when I was still a college student. So you know, when I was in school, I got interested in reading up on trading, investing, and at the same time, I really enjoyed traveling around the world. So after I graduated, I decided to make this you know, a full-time career, because I did spend a couple of years trading for some proprietary and private equity funds. But you know, those required me to stay at the desk full time, so it wasn't that fun. But it was a good learning experience for me to hone my skills. And so after I left the professional trading, I came out to trade on my own. And so at the same time, you know, while traveling and trading, I also decided to do some online education to share what I've learned over the years.
Okay, so I saw your video and I think you said you've read 2,000 books, not all concentrated on trading. Can you name a few that had major impact on the way you look at trading, and maybe a couple that had a major impact on your psychology and how to live life?
So I actually do have the whole list on my blog, but the ones that I really like for trading, there are a couple of like the you know, the core textbook kind of books, like you know, the ones by like John Murphy.
Okay, know him.
Can explain technical analysis of financial markets. Basically, it's those that you know don't have those have very proper names for the books. And if you have taken like the CMT or the CFTE, the reading list usually have you know, they usually come with like all the best come out the best books, because they try to pick out like different books for different techniques.
Right.
So, but the books that I personally quite liked are a couple of books on like price action. So there aren't that many books on price action, but you know, there are a couple of authors. I think like Al Brooks, Bob Bowman, they do pretty good on price action.
Okay, so tell us when you started your trading career, what asset class were you mainly involved in? Most people start with equities. How about you?
So when I was in college, I started off with equities as well as the Singapore stock market.
Okay.
And then I went on to like CFDs, which are kind of derivatives. And then when I went to trade professionally, I did like futures. I did E-minis. At one point, I also did options. But now I mainly do Forex. So I've covered most of the asset classes, I believe.
Okay, so that's interesting. And after you know, probing all those different asset classes, and now you say you mainly trade Forex. What is it about Forex that has the majority of your attention? What is it about the way the markets behave or trade that attracts you to Forex over equities that open and close and have thinner aftermarkets? Is it the 24-hour nature of it as one?
So that's one of the main things, because being in Singapore, the biggest stock market is the U.S. market, but it's hard for me to trade the U.S. stock market because the time is so different. So Forex is like the next, you know, the next best thing, because it trades 24 hours. So I can trade it like throughout the day, and it is also quite universal. So because in terms of like the people who the readers and my students, right, they come from all over the world. So if I were to like focus on a specific stock market, it is quite hard for everyone to have like a common market to trade. So the forex market is pretty convenient in that sense. And I think most of the forex brokers now, they have like derivatives like CFDs or futures that allow you to trade, different markets as well, like the indices, commodities, some have cryptocurrencies, all built together on one platform. So that kind of makes it easier if you also want to do some like intermarket, trading.
Okay. I found very interesting yet a diagram of that your trading account. You would take equity out of what you're generating from trading and move it into other investments, real estate, REITs, more stable, more stable, diversified type of portfolio. What about for people besides investing that money? I recommend that after windfalls, people take some of that money and spend it and enjoy it. And it makes it more real because you're making the conversion from digits to cash or something that you could spend and feel and touch, makes it real. While the money in our accounts, just like if you go to a casino, they convert your currency into chips so that it doesn't have the same type of psychological impact as you see them come and go. What do you think about that? People enjoying the fruits of their labor and spending some profits and not always reinvesting it.
Well, I think it basically boils down to the trade-off between spending it now or saving it and investing it to spend for later years. So it really depends on a couple of factors like the lifestyle or where you are in your life, and also how much you're actually making, right? So for me, I definitely do spend as well, right? Because the travels don't pay for themselves, right? So I do have to spend the money as well, but I invest whatever is left, right? So it's kind of like you take it out and you decide, how much you want to allocate to saving, and how much you want to allocate to spending, right? So that's kind of really
Right.
the personal preference. And sometimes I think it has to do with a bit of the cultural aspect as well. Maybe like in Asia, they tend to have like the more mindset towards saving and investing. Because I did spend like at least a year or so in the US. So the culture there is a bit more like spending, right, rather than saving. So
immediate gratification. You mean compared to delayed gratification?
I'm not sure. I mean, I kind of like it just feels that there are like more things to spend the money on, when I'm in US, or maybe that's because I'm on a holiday there. But there's like
to be a patriotic American, we're taught to go out and spend to make the economy run. So anytime we're in a recession, we're encouraged to buy. So let me ask you a little bit about. I notice you have 3 different types of trading strategies, and one. I was wondering if you could give us a general description of what they are and how you came up with them.
so to describe my trading strategy, I think it is probably a combination of price action, technical analysis, and trend following. So I think these are like the 3 main pillars that I base my strategies on. It's based on like all the books that I read, based on what I've observed. I find that these tend to be more I think these tend to work well, and they're used by a lot of professionals as well. So I sort of built my strategies on this, and I decided to move away from the short-term intraday trading, which I did.
So what would you consider yourself an FX position trader, swing
I would say
trader?
I'm a swing, so it's a medium to long term, so probably more along the swing and position trading.
Okay.
What I did was to optimize my strategies for efficiency. So my goal was to to spend like as little time as possible trading, right? So to automate as many things as possible, to the point where I won't have to spend more than 15 minutes a day actually executing the trades.
So you use a robot?
So I would say it's like 80% or 80% automated, 20% manual.
Okay. All
Yeah.
right. And did you code it yourself, the robot, or you hired someone to do it? And have
Um,
you, Boris Schlossberg has made a big paradigm
I
shift
used
into.
some myself in the past, but I'm not familiar with the C plus language for the
Okay.
MPL, so I actually got someone to do it for me. But
You find yourself as market conditions changing, you have to tweak it.
yeah, definitely. I mean, it's so it's not like a robot where you code it once and you just it's like it's not like a golden goose where you just create it and it churns out money. You do still have to take an active approach to tweak it and to observe the market and see how the system reacts to the market.
Okay. Would you be willing to share your screen and so we could see your setup and what you look at when you look at markets?
Yeah, sure. So what I have for starters is something like a dashboard, right? So this is on MP4, but I've taken a screenshot because I'm using my Mac now. So
Okay.
this is basically what the dashboard looks like. At the start of the day, I can just do a quick screen to see whether there's it gives me an overview of the whole market, right? To see like which ones are moving, which are bullish and which are bearish. So this helps me to sort of decide which counters to focus on. And throughout the day, I have like push notifications as well. So the actual signals will be sent like via push notifications to my mobile device, right? So I don't really have to like track or monitor the screen because whenever I get a push notification, then I'll just like open my phone and decide if I want to take the trade. So that really helps me save a lot of time, right? Compared to in the past where I had to like just stand in front of the screen.
Right. Okay. So it's set and forget the majority of your trading.
Yeah, kind of.
Okay. Do you have anything in your algo that takes partial profits and trails your stop after a signal has been, uh, generated?
I would say those are still done manually because
Okay.
I feel that like the risk for each position has to be managed somewhat differently. So I don't have that complex an algorithm to do that at the moment because you have to take into account like news events. So sometimes like when there are like major news events, your algorithm wouldn't know how to react to those events. So you still have to sort of like manually manage the risk.
Okay. So talking about news events, you're in Singapore, correct? You're in
Yeah.
Asia. What's your view on what's happening here? I suspect you weren't around for the last big trade war that was in the 30s. Surprisingly, either was I. What's a view from Asia with what's happening in trade between China and the U.S. and Europe and the U.S.? This old order passing away and starting to be every nation for itself. What do you think the repercussions could be in the markets here?
Well, to be honest, because I'm pretty distant from most of the action. So what I know is what I get from the different news outlets, right?
Okay. All right.
I'm also not sure because I mean you read a lot on online. There's a lot of
Okay.
politics involved.
All
So
right. Well, then let me ask you about a specific instrument. Euro's been range bound and boring and low volatility for quite some time. You're just waiting for new developments to give you a view on Euro, or do you have biases in your trading approach?
so the way that I do it, for example, like when I look at this table, right? So just a quick scan, I'm able to see, that like say the Aussie, right, is currently like one of the most bearish, right? Because like Aussie CAD, Aussie New Zealand dollar, Aussie US dollar, and Aussie yen, right? It's like all bearish. So you can see that. Like a lot of the Aussie founders are bearish, right? So I will be looking out for like potential short opportunities during the day, right? And also like the Swiss franc, right? It's also been pretty bearish, right? So I'll say like Aussie and Swiss, right, are like the most bearish, and then on the other hand, you have like the super bullish ones, right, like the pound, right? So with the pound being bullish, so I don't really like follow that much of the news because at the end of the day, like I focus more on like what has actually happened, in terms of the price movements, because like it is quite hard to speculate based on a news event, whether it is going to like negatively or positively impact the market. So I feel that it's kind of like easier to just look at the charts to see, what is like the collective sentiment, right?
Okay.
Actually
what does NA mean on Bitcoin? Not available?
Oh no, just because there's not enough. There's not enough data on the broker that I'm using to generate calculation. So
for a lot of I would imagine NA for a lot of people that got caught up in the mania, NA would mean never again.
Well, I mean, interesting that you mentioned Bitcoin because so like this column over here is just like the percentage change over the past 20 days. So that sort of gives me an idea of what has been like moving. So Bitcoin actually has been up about 12% in the last 20 days.
Yeah.
Right.
Right. Yeah.
I actually did have the chart here right here. So it's kind of like been bearish, right? So, but it's kind of like trying to form a sort of like double bottom, right? So it depends on whether it's actually able to break out. And if it does break out, it will probably break out around the same time. It will probably break this trend line at the same time, right? Because now it's like this huge giant wedge thing. So I guess a lot of people are just watching to see whether it actually happens, whether it actually can break out or not.
Okay. So nice look at the chart. So I'd like to see your chart again and ask you a few questions about that on Bitcoin. So this is your standard setup. Are those are all moving averages? How did you select those moving averages? Was there any rhyme or reason for, I know a lot of people use 200, but what about the 20, 50, 10, and the other? How did you come to choose those periods, those time periods for your moving average work?
So I would say my main technique is mainly classical in terms of like trend lines, support, resistance, and price action. So the moving averages are sort of just there, to aid in the analysis. So I don't actually use them to generate specific signals. So as a result, I just use like all the most common parameters to like 10, 20, 50. 100, 200. Those are like probably the most common parameters, like default parameters that people use. So I just throw them onto the chart because it kind of like just helps me see study the trends, but I don't actually really use them like much to generate.
Do you use them more for where support and resistance levels? Because I noticed right here you have quite a few converging on the sell-off that we had yesterday or Sunday night in Bitcoin. A lot of them looks like trying to support this pullback in Bitcoin, and then that green one coming in what might be an ascending triangle. If you're a classical technician, you know that that's a reversal formation or could be head and shoulders, but looks like an ascending triangle to me. And then your longest term moving average seems to be what might be the next big resistance level if we break out of the downtrend. Am I reading it? Do you use them in that fashion?
Yeah, I would say that would. I mean, there's a classical interpretation of the potential double bottom or the ascending triangle. So So currently it is like right in the middle of the, so I mean, ascending triangle is sort of still a consolidation pattern, and price being right in the middle of the range now would suggest that, it's kind of like 50-50. So typically I wouldn't really do anything until, it actually, either it
Yeah.
breaks up here or it breaks out here. So, so
Okay.
in the meantime, I will just like, leave it there and keep watching it. So,
Okay. I
so
noticed you don't use fibs, and a lot of people do. Any reason? Did you experiment with fibs and found that it was just noise for you, or just never really dug into them?
So I find that so I probably studied like almost every single technique possible. Because everything that has been in the book, I've probably come across it. So I did
Right.
study a lot of different techniques like Fibonacci, even like there's like GAN,
Yeah.
harmonics, and so the thing about these methods is because I'm not sure after trying it out, I find that it's that there are too many, like say Elliott wave, right, or Fibonacci. There are simply too many variations and permutations such that it doesn't really help in the decision making. Because I can plot like 10 different Fibonacci levels, right, and then you don't know like which is good support and which is good resistance, so it becomes impossible to trade. So like what a lot of people do is they find confluence, right, like whether the Fibonacci line confluences with say a
Hmm.
support,
Oh, right.
support or
Right.
resistance. But if that's the case, then I might as well just use the support and resistance because then the Fibonacci does not serve. So I felt that the additional work, because you have to spend a lot of effort like plotting in all the lines and just for one chart. So I found that all the additional work doesn't really add much value. So I decided to just go with a more like clean approach. And
You're a young guy, and I think you learned the lesson early that our most precious currency isn't the Swiss or the Aussie; it's our time. So interesting that you've simplified things. I mean, you have that spreadsheet. You don't watch the market all day. Your charts are almost naked. Are you a little shy about that? But you trade naked, Spencer, whether you know it or not. And I admire that you, at this stage in your life, usually it takes people to get much older to realize that really their most important currency is their time. And so it looks like you've solved that riddle in your lifestyle. So, um, what is your service? Is it mainly mentoring, teaching? I don't see that you provide any signals or trading ideas. What's the business model of Synapse?
Well, I'll say that mainly I did used to do a lot more like live training in Singapore. But I actually do also have like some online training. So a lot of time I spend like now, blogging, creating
Okay.
content, right? So this is like one of the latest initiatives. I've actually like, trying to compile like, all the knowledge that I have from the books and, what I've acquired. I'm trying to like put them, neatly into a website so that anyone can like, find all the content they need to learn how to trade. And then I
Don't fall
also,
off that mountain. I saw
sorry.
you hanging by on a cliff over there, buddy.
So I also have like some like I started a YouTube channel, right, to do some videos. I have
Oh,
like a
okay.
group as well and Telegram channel.
All
But
right.
I also do have like I also do have a training program over here. So it is mainly online. So like if I don't like promote it much, but it's on my website, right? If anyone asks for it, then I'll just send them the link.
Okay. What do you charge?
Oh, well, it's inside the link though.
You know what?
I'll say it's quite around. I'll say it's quite around the market rate.
it's kind of around the market costs of most
Market
others.
rate. So it's
Oh,
about
okay.
2 to
All
three
right.
thousand. Yeah.
Okay. Um, Never be embarrassed to quote your price. And Spencer, what a pleasure meeting you. God, you had me beat by leaps and bounds when I was at my stage of a career. You're already a pro. So, I wish you continued success with your own work and everyone who you mentor and Synapse Trading. I hope pips rain down on you and everyone you come in contact with. And like it or not, you're, as you know, from my DM to you on Twitter, you're my trading warrior brother now, Spencer. What do you think?
Thanks a lot. It's nice. It's quite surprised to people reach out because I haven't been using Twitter that much. So I was quite surprised to see your message when you reached out.
Well, I hope it measured up to all the other places that you've been interviewed. I saw it. It's multiple television, radio, and other formats, and appreciate you taking the time to come and share your journey and philosophy with us today, buddy.
This is the first online, online.
Oh, yeah? Yeah. All right. Good to be the first. Good to be the first. Good hunting, Spencer, and thank you again. I'm glad our paths crossed. I'm glad I reached out to you on Twitter. Thank you again.
All right. Thank you.
All right. So everyone, you could follow Spencer at www.synapse trading to go to his website. And that is also his Twitter handle. Says he doesn't use it that often, but that's how you could reach him. And looks like Spencer is living the dream, loves what he does for a living, gets to travel and follow that passion too. So let me wrap it with don't quit your daydream. If Spencer can do it, it's possible for everyone. And most of all, don't just count your pips, count your blessings. And we'll see everyone tomorrow. Adios. You're very welcome, Joshua. And thank you.
I'll see you when I travel to you're staying in the US, Australia?
California.
California? Okay.
I'm on the left coast, buddy. Left.
Okay.
All right. Thank you very much, Spencer.
Bye.
All right. Goodbye, F.A.C.E. Take it easy.